give you guys a good understanding. You know, after this live call, you're going to have a very good understanding of what an extended sweep is. Super simple, just a small tweak that's going to really help you guys out, and you'll see the results that me and Scott have been getting, and they've been very, very fruitful. Yeah, let's jump straight into it. As you can see on the left here, we've basically got the basic entry type. You know, we look at the 15-minute chart inside session, and if we're looking at an external or an internal fractal sweep, we're looking at the candle that took liquidity will be in this buy scenario. We'll be looking at putting a stop order, you know, on that candle high. And no matter previously, no matter, you know, if we push lower, you know, our order is going to stay in the same place, but we'll just extend our stop loss. Now, it does work, and it is quite good. But however, if we can reduce the size of this stop loss a little bit, that's going to allow us to TP earlier. You know, because if our stop loss is smaller, therefore our take profit is going to be smaller, because we're targeting 1 to 3s. So the basic entry that you should all pretty much be familiar with is like so. And you know, if you were to move over now to the extended sweep, if we've got that same scenario where we've got this particular candle, previously our entry would be on the high of this 15-minute candle, you know, but you'll notice sometimes we keep pushing lower even after the liquidation of this. We push lower and push lower. Now, this is why we call it an extended sweep, because we are extending our sweep down and placing, again, a stop order on the high of the candle. Yeah, so it'll become more apparent when I show you some examples. So, for example, here we're pushing lower, 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 and the candle that forms this lower low, we want to put our buy stop in this scenario on that candle high, and then eventually it should, for example, do something like that, and it'll tag us in. Now, you're merely, if you look at these 15-minute candles, you're merely playing a lower time frame range, and then rather than using the lower time frames, you're just using the 15-minute candles and extending each range down. And then when you get tagged into the trade, it's merely breaking out of that range and carrying on higher. Yeah. So it's lower in this buy scenario, going lower, 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 and you kind of got to be a bit more on the ball, if you like, with this. You know, because each candle's every 15 minutes, and if it keeps pushing lower, 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 you kind of need to place your orders accordingly, and again, place your stop loss accordingly. That's why we like to use the MT4 Trade Manager, where you can merely drag and drop your, for example, like here on the Trade Manager, you can drag and drop your buy stop and your stop loss and your TP. You know, super useful for things like this. Tom, yeah, so no specific amount. I found optimally, or the most optimum amount of candles, it kind of between the 2 and 3. Again, do your testing. In my testing, I never took into consideration how many candles it was. I just ensured that it was inside session and the entry was valid in terms of a higher time frame entry. Again, Adrian, don't worry about it. And never had any impact on my results. Doesn't matter what the candle looks like. Again, you'll notice that from your testing.
Here we have some chart examples for the extended sweep. Let's jump right into the charts. Here we have Euro USD. We know what our 4-hour bias is. If we just jump onto the 4-hour here, we know we are contained in this range here. So I find the lowest point in price, track back, excuse me, the high is that one there, track back, the high is here, we breach that high, we can go ahead and move our range as it develops, interaction with the high, move the high, track back, find the low. Now this is an internal low here, so we're maintained. If we're looking at the most recent interaction, you can see here is an SFT. Let's just pull on this range here. So buys would be optimal, but we can also look at counter trend SFT trades. However, this is a extended sweep video, so let's just jump into that now. So coming into, we've got London session here. We push just above here, quite aggressively clearing out some of this liquidity, and then yeah, push lower. So we're looking at our 15-minute range. This is the one here, and then if we're looking at sort of most recent fractals and the most recent, pools of liquidity, we've got this one here, and you can see normally this green bullish candle here, in a normal sense, we would be placing our sell stop here. We don't get tagged, so we move and increase our stop loss. But look at the size of our stop loss there. It's very large. It's above, above 21 pips is not optimal on EU. Of a daily range of 60 pips. So, if we can refine that stop loss, it's going to be better for us. So we can see that the next candle. Let's move this out of the way. The next candle here put in a new higher high. So when you see a breach of this candle high, it's broken out of the range of this particular bullish candle. So we need to wait for the next candle to close. When it closes, we merely place our sell stop here now because it's made a higher high. This is the confirmed new 15-minute range candle. You can see that there. So we go ahead, sell stop there, stops above the high, call it 13. Oh, let's go 1 and then round it up. 13 to target, that'd be 39. So you can see there we've gone from, let's just put this back on. It's going to be at least 22. Profit's going to be 66. Look at the difference there. Huge difference, more likely to hit TP because it hasn't got to go as far. At 39 pips, it's around half the daily range. So what we're waiting here is for a breakout of the range. There we go. We get tagged in and it breaks the low of this candle. Yeah, so it makes higher highs, but then it breaches the low and it breaks out of this range. All it is a lower time frame range, so that's all we need to know. Don't need to go down any lower time frame. It's all on the 15-minute here. So we're tagged into the trade there, and let's just see how it plays out. Continue playing forward. And there we go, 1 to 3. TP hit within probably an hour. That was a nice example. Counter trend, SFT, internal sweep. But the key is in the entry here and how we would set up that extended sweep entry. Here we have another example of extended sweep in a buy scenario. And here you can see we have our 4-hour dealing range. We sort of check the lowest low of price. You can see initially here this would have been an NFT, but as we interact with the high here and become SFT, we can remove that bias there. This is our dealing range low, dealing range high, SFT environment. So we're looking for buys and sells no matter where we are in discount or premium, but we can take advantage of them counter trend SFTs if they present themselves. This is merely a buy example to collaborate with the previous sell example I've just done. So coming into London session here, we can see if we just track back and see what's gone on. So we can see we've made a high here, high, higher high. There's our high. If we track back, there's our low. It's our 15-minute external range. We breach the low, so we can move that. This high still maintained because we haven't interacted with anything yet. We're still kept within that range. Then we see an interaction, so we move the high. And this is during the night, so no fractal low prints until here. This is the range, and then just pre-London session, we start interacting with it again. Move the low, track back, find that fractal high. There it is, again. So, coming into London session, we see liquidation here, and this is the range candle that sweeps that liquidity. Yeah, so initially, our stop or entry would be here. And as soon as we break this low, we'd merely just increase our stop loss size. But look at the size of that. That's like it's probably going to be a 40 pip stop or whatever, or 37. Very large stop loss. I would not take that in EU. It's too large. So let's see how we can refine that. When we see a breach of this low, we need to wait for this candle to close. When this candle closes, this is our new 15-minute range candle. See that there? And the key is to, if we see the breach of this low, wait for the candle to close, and then the entry is going to be on the high of that candle. And we're just looking for a breakout of this range. See that there? Put the entry on the high of that candle. Probably going to be an 18 pip stop to target 52. Is it 59? 53, I think. So if we compare that to, look at that, stop loss size compared between those. Yes, we can get a 1 to 2, but is it really worth it? No, because the daily range is 60 pips on EU. So it's not worth the risk. You know, with a stop loss that large, it's not worth it. However, if we can refine that, 18 pips is good. So SFT, look for buys, liquidation of external range, inside session, extended sweep. Let's see if we get tagged in and then a breakout of the range. So we get tagged in on the next candle there. There we go, hit TP. Explains how, we can frame that extended sweep trade and then look for the breakout of that 15-minute range candle. That's all it is. It's looking to extend that sweep. Extend the sweep lower or higher, depending if it's a buy or sell scenario. Looking for a breakout of that 15-minute candle. It's really going to help us refine our stop loss, get a tighter stop loss. Means less pips for it to hit TP, therefore more likely to hit TP. Another example here. As you can see, for our chart, we have our NFT bias. So short will be pro trend and longs will be counter trend. This is our most recent dealing range low, dealing range high. This is found from, you've got the high, you track back. Here's the most recent fractal low. This is our range. Our bias is short. That's with pro trend due to the NFT. So let's jump to the 15-minute. So the bias is short. We are inside premium. We have a liquidation occurring here. And with our typical entry, would pick this candle here, would be the point or the candle low of entry. If we look at that candle, it would be around a 31 pip stop loss, too large for EU. We break the high, so we're moving our stop loss. Look how big that is, nearly 50 pips. It's just not worth it. But what do we see? We see a breach of this high, so we can move our entry here. Okay, so now we're getting around 22 pip stop. It's getting better. But you can see we breached the high again, so wait for candle closure, move it up. It's probably going to be around a 13 pip, but on this would breach the high before it tags you in. So your order wouldn't be there because it would have already breached the high because the candle closed bearish. So you see a breach of the high, we move the candle. We move the entry, sorry. This is probably going to be a 17 to target 51. So this is because this breached the high, we cancel our order. That order would not have got filled before it breached the high. You can go on the lower time frames to check it out. But because it breached the high, we cancel this order, wait for this candle to close, and put our sell stop when it has closed. Stops above the high, again targeting 51 pips. See if we get tagged in and see if we get a breakout of that range. We do here. We get that breakout. It tags us in the next candle. Play it forward. There we go. Hits TP slightly a couple of hours after entry. So now touching on some invalid extended sweep types. As you can see on the screen, we've got our typical extended sweep. In this buy scenario, we've got lower, lower, lower. Each 15-minute candle is printing lower lows. It's extending the sweep lower. Therefore, we can capitalize on the breakout of this small 15-minute candle range to tag us in long. Now, if you look over to the right here, we've got that same entry, but in between that, we get these inside bars. We get this pullback of candles. So price is failing to make lower lows. Consecutive lower lows, it creates lower low, lower low, lower high, lower low. It's failing to give us that extended sweep. Yeah, so this entry type, this inside bar, this fail to make lower lows is going to invalidate the extended sweep, and we would merely have to wait for a new fractal sweep. For example, if this was a fractal low here, we'd have to wait for a new sweep of this low, and if we got something like that and it extended the sweep, then we can look for entries long. However, if it gave us another inside bar, another pullback candle, that failure to create lower lows or higher highs, then we merely invalidate that trade idea and move on to the next one. It really is that simple. And here we have a chart example of a fractal low sweep, and we're failing to create lower lows. So let's take this fractal low here, this internal fractal low, this liquidity pool, and we see the liquidation occur with this candle here. Now what happens? This next candle fails to make a lower low. You can see that. So the low of this candle is 0.89619, and the low of this candle is 0.89624. It's higher than the low of this. It's failing to extend the sweep. Therefore, an invalid trade and no entry. There's no entry here. We need to wait for this scenario to set back up again. We need to wait for this to pull up, form a fractal low here, and then see liquidation occur again. And if it extends the sweep without this, it continues to make lower lows, then yes, it's a valid trade. However, we're failing to create lower lows here. We're failing to extend the sweep. Therefore, we just wait. We wait for another setup to present itself. Another example here. Again, in that fractal low, here we have, or I suppose, let's choose this one. This is our most recent fractal low, and the sweep occurs. So initially this would be the entry candle, but we make a lower low. Again, extending the sweep. The next candle, lower low. We're extending the sweep. The next candle, lower low. So there'd be an entry here. That would be a buy and a loss. However, look what happens here when we create a pullback. We pull back. The low of this bullish candle it's higher than the low of this, and then we break lower. We're pulling back and failing to extend the sweep, therefore no entry. There is no entry, no additional entry to be taken here because we failed to extend the sweep. It's pulled back and failed to extend, therefore no entry, and we again need to wait for new setup, new 15-minute sweep of fractal to occur.